And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the premier job podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm your host, Chad White. Episode 25 of the best jobs podcast you've ever seen in your whole God-blessed life. You know what I didn't do? Was load up LinkedIn. This is coming to you a day late for any of anybody who's paying attention. Mostly because I am, Mostly because I was busy the day before helping somebody move. I was so nice. I volunteered. I said, hey, how's everything going with your life? I'm just kidding. We were already chatting. And this person... Full disclosure, I knew this person. I knew this person for a couple years. And not trying to get specific. And we were talking, and this person mentions, I'm moving. And I know this person is a great, they're a nice person. I enjoy their company. And just like me, they've been going through it. So I said, you know what? Let me be nice. Let me offer to help you. It turned into a whole day affair. Now, I moved. I'm not kidding. When I say these words, know that I'm not kidding. If you're watching the video, you can see everything in my dining room. And as well as part of my living room, you can see my kitchen. Yes, I got to turn off this thumbs up thing. I moved. I'm not kidding. Every single piece of furniture, every box, everything that was moved into this apartment, from the bike to the couches to the dining table to the treadmill, I moved everything. Save for one or two things. There's a giant media console here. It's like a coffee bookcase, like right next to me. That's the printer sitting on top of. I'm just painting a picture. I got the Google Home Max, and it adds like a various camera equipment and old video game stuff that I'm trying to sell. Besides that, and I moved the washer and dryer in here by myself. Yeah, I had to buy my own washer and dryer. They also charge to rent those. I lived in an apartment in Chattanooga that did the same thing, but they partnered up with a different company. They charge. They're just this added into the rent. Hey, you're gonna get a washer and dryer. That's another $50 a month. I bought mine $150 off this girl who was moving out about a month or two after I moved in. And she was like, it's loud at first. Then I hooked it up, and then sure enough. And then, you get used to it. And now it's kind of cooled off, but then for a long time, I don't know if it still does this, it was leaking. And I just couldn't get it fixed. I just had to deal with it. I go, oh, there it goes, leaking onto the Swiffer and the broom. But now that I have a Dyson, I make sure to move that bad boy every time it starts. I have a Dyson. It was used, $50. Then I had to buy a battery. But you know what? I have a Dyson. Constitutionals, episode 25. What are we doing here? Let's talk about... I'm looking at this article, and I'm trying to see if it's locked out or not. Okay, great. This comes from The Wrap. Emily Smith. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to talk about... I said Burnout. We're going to talk about CNN and Mark Thompson and what they're doing now. Now, I'm not bitter. My contract was not renewed from CNN, by CNN. And I'm not bitter. But this just so happens to be a jobs-related thing. I know because like the last 2 or 3 episodes have been about CNN in some way, or Warner Brothers in some way, or the industry in some way. This is just the industry I know. This is the industry I know best. Besides, I don't know, finance, stocks and finance and stuff like that. Emily Smith writes, CNN looks to slash budgets, star salaries as Mark Thompson digs in. Now, people being laid off That's one thing. That's something that is a given when it comes to a jobs and everything. It's an unfortunate part of reality, but there's another part of this that is around that I thought would I personally I think is a smarter idea before laying people off, before trying to meet the bottom line by canning 100 people. Wouldn't it be best to go at the top and just cut back on that budget from paying Anderson Cooper X amount of money, XXX amount of money? That's 3X's. I should have got XX amount of money. And paying everybody else the same, like that same thing. You know, allow these people, and with that being said, with that, allow them to do other things. Anderson Cooper, he can have a show. He can have Anderson Cooper 360 on CNN. He can have the whole story on CNN. And then he can also work at 60 Minutes for CBS. He's not delivering news. He's delivering stories. Or he's helping host stories. But yeah, I don't think he's the host of that show, right? I don't know. I don't watch 60 Minutes. I love the idea of watching 60 Minutes, and then I just don't. But I like the YouTube channel, and I like that it's on Paramount Plus. And I like that they had a Paramount Plus exclusive show for a little bit. I watched a couple episodes. I've seen 60 Minutes, like I'm trying to prove. Anderson so allow people to do that. It's the same thing with Peloton. A lot of those people teach. It's because I'm in love with one of them. They allow those people to teach at Peloton, but on the outside of that company, they have other things they do. Ally Love is a contributor to the Today Show. I believe Tunde is now as not Today Show, but I think she might be contributing elsewhere. Or Jess Sims. It's one of them. I don't know. Kendall Toole, my beautiful future bride, she does ad stuff, and so do others. They all have partnerships. If you just allow people to do other things that are kind of adjacent, then you can take that money from them and allocate it to where it needs to go, instead of just laying people off constantly. Anderson Cooper, who has an estimated $20 million a year. Wolf Blitzer, about $15 million. Jake Tapper, who pulls in $8.5 million. Chris Wallace, who makes about $8 million. Those are the people that they're kind of going after. Other anchors include John Berman, Kate Baldwin, and Sarah Seidner, who make $1 million to $2 million. And this all comes from insiders who told The Wrap this, or Emily Smith. Thompson has indicated in a staff memo he is looking to trim production costs, quote, that now look difficult to support, for which media experts and former staffers say is likely to mean cuts at least some of those big salaries. I worked on a lot of CNN shows. I've been in the control room. I've been on set. It's already as bare bones as it can possibly be. And, you know, PBS NewsHour, and I'm going to keep referring back to PBS NewsHour because I think it is the best version of news that there is. And to some extent, give my kudos over to Mark Thompson. BBC News America is great, which I assume is BBC News. So BBC News is great as well. And both happen to air on PBS, and both happen to have no money. I'm sure, you know, Amna Nawaz will be happy with $1 to $2 million a year. But contracts for some of those biggest stars, including Cooper and Tapper, are not due to expire until after the presidential election at the end of 2025 or 2026. The first thing they need to do is to dramatically reduce costs, said Rich Greenfield, a partner in media and tech analyst at Lightshed Partners. If you work at CNN, your compensation is going to go down dramatically over the next 5 years. There's just no way around it. CNN's got bad ratings compared to Fox and MSNBC. Then they have the change of CNN News Central and CNN This Morning, where Poppy Harlow and Phil Mattingly are being removed from that show, and that show is being moved up and CNN News Central is being moved up. What's gonna? It's so important for. I don't know where I was going with this sentence. So I'm going to find the words. It is so important for CNN to have good sourcing and good reporting and good anchoring and good everything. But I think the production is something that can be suffered the most. You don't need all the giant graphics in the world. You don't need these swooping camera movements. I used to work at WXIA here in Atlanta, and when I worked there, they were in the midst of redoing their studio. They have one studio. They were in the midst of redoing it, and it looks not good. I don't like how any of these studios look. CNN News Central studio looks fine. And there's all these faux staircases that you don't really walk up and down. There's all these fake brick walls that you don't need. And everything just seems kind of bright and chic and fake. And that goes for every single news program I'm thinking of, from Morning Joe to Squawk Box to Today Show, CBS Mornings, every single show that I watch, and I watch a lot of news, even though it just doesn't seem to want me in it. And the question is, do we really need all of this fake stuff, the swooping camera angles? Do we need the loud music? When PBS NewsHour and when BBC News do it right and they're able to impact and deliver the same news stories better. When it comes to 6 o'clock at night, yes, they have to play catch up. Yes, they have to talk about Alexei Navalny's body trying to be recovered to his mother from Russia. Whereas everybody all day long at Fox and MSNBC and CNN have been talking about that. And ABC News, they have some type of 24-hour channel, and CBS News also has the same thing. They have to play catch up, PBS. But when they do, they're doing 7 to 11 minutes of a story plus or minus an interview. And it really it works for them. I'm not saying that everybody needs to have and I know it kind of sounds like it, but I'm not saying that everybody needs to have what PBS News and BBC News have. What the direction needs to shift towards is reporting and doing it. And that's when you get an anchoring and doing right and doing stories and doing them right and correct and fair and honest. And that's when you start getting in the viewers. Now you can cut something. Now you can do a 7 to 11 minute story, cut it for mobile, put it out on YouTube, cut even more to get the facts, just to get the 1 minute facts for TikTok and Instagram Reels. Because at some point, people are going, and it's happening at CNN, people are getting tired of the bright lights and everything. Whereas at Fox, what did they have to reduce themselves to? I don't know if they ever did real news, but what do they have to reduce themselves to is spreading lies and deceit and just luring in their viewers with what amounts to be junk and candy. And it may seem like to them, it may seem like they're doing the right thing and doing real news, but they whiff more than they hit. Their batting percentage is horrible. Their attempts at goal, horrible. I guess the the amount of goals they made. I try to turn this into a soccer analogy. I don't watch soccer. Yeah, I put it on sometimes. I was gonna lie, I put it on sometimes. Only the teams I know. Thompson isn't used to having U.S. TV news anchor salaries on the balance sheet. The BBC is funded through a public license fee, and the anchors earn a tiny fraction of a CNN salary. Likewise, the salaries at New York Times, where Thompson was CEO for 8 years until 2020, are minute compared to CNN, in comparison to CNN. The highest paid BBC presenter was Gary Lineker, who's a former soccer star. He earns about $1.7 million. I would also like to see a lot more cross-pollination. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be great to see Tapper do an interview on MSNBC. And I don't mean like he's hosting or leading or anything, but I would love to like see him just like pop up on MSNBC and have done a story for them. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. But I just thought it'd be fun. MSNBC top star salaries are lower than CNN, except for Rachel Maddow, who makes $30 million a year. Oof. Oh my God. The insider said, if they can put the death nail in CNN by getting a piece of talent, they will do it. Wow. That same insider said that rather than slashing anchor salaries, CNN should cut back on its multi-anchor shows. Do you have to have 3 anchors? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have multiple anchors for a show. But I also think it's hard for people now to get on board with one anchor for like a morning show or a midday show, especially somebody that they aren't really attuned to. I do agree that there doesn't need to be 3 anchors for every single show, but the primetime hours, those are the people, the viewers for primetime rather, those are the people that really just kind of want. It feels like we're playing catch up with oh God, who am I thinking of? Like Walter Cronkite. Like we always had one person and that was Walter Cronkite. Johnny Carson hosts his show, his late night show, and so it works for a good half hour. And it could work for an hour, but the problem is CNN is over here doing with the same thing with MSNBC and Fox. They're over here doing 24-hour news, and I think that we need one person for 3 hours or 3 people for 3 hours. So what they should do is build somebody from the ground. I mean, I think kind of what they did with Caitlin Collins, and in the fact that she was a reporter, and then they made her an anchor on this morning show with 3 people, and then they got her own show. I think that was a good approach, but it doesn't work for everybody. But we don't need 3 anchors for every show. We don't need 6 anchors for every show. Anyway, how is CNN going to, and then to the point where they, like, if they're going to be slashing these salaries, then put these people to work more a little bit. If there's a focus on TikTok and Instagram, then let's do some stories kind of for that. If there are smaller stories, first take the bigger stories and put them on there. And then if there are smaller stories that you just can't do on television, and they do all right on digital, then let's put them on social. If there's a story of a wolf being domesticated, then by all means, don't put that this is a feel-good story on a CNN show. Let's put it on TikTok. There are other people who have become stars outside of regular TV viewership. Megyn Kelly, she's got a serious show. Sirius XM, not a serious show. And you know what? I'm going to keep saying it There were, I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly. However, I am a fan of redemption. And when she left Fox News and then she went over to NBC, I was all behind her. I was like, okay, let's see if she can reboot herself. If she can be, now she's on the Today Show. She's got her own Today Hour. Let's make her something. And then she's out here saying Santa's not black. Santa can't be black. And saying other racist stuff, saying other stupid things. I'm like, come on, lady, I was rooting for you. Then she gets on serious. And now she's spouting everything every which way. We see Tucker Carlson went to Twitter, and he's able to, I guess, kind of find his own thing, and now he has his own subscription base. But does that work? Piers Morgan is over there, and look at all these people. Every single person. Piers Morgan's on Talk TV with Piers Morgan Uncensored. That's a YouTube thing, I guess. But all these people I named are, kind of alt-righty people. Again, I was like, Megyn Kelly, you can do it. NBC saw something in you, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Don Lemon's going to do something with Elon Musk. Okay, on X. All right, 3 times a week. Okay. And that leads me to this, burnout. Let's talk about that. Burnout's a real thing. It can happen to anybody. No matter how positive you are, it is going to hit you. And I'm currently in the middle of a burnout. I'm like everybody's dad. Like, cool, I'm cool, kids. I can't wait to have a child to try to prove I'm cool. Oh, I'm cool, kids. Hey, everybody. Do you want to see me Millie rock? And it is burnout's a real thing, and it stinks. And oftentimes I just come and I'm like, just let it go, let it happen, because that's what it is. Burnout is. I'm sorry, this light is off center, and it's just making me so mad. It changed nothing for the video, but it was pointed this way, the other side. And what happens to me when I get burned out? Well, I oftentimes I just get bored. I get bored at work, and I just kind of put my head down and do everything. And there's nothing that can really get out of the funk except for switching things up every day. And that's kind of, why I enjoyed, like being a producer is the best thing, because literally anything could happen versus you go somewhere else, you work in an office, you're sitting there doing faxing all day, or typing out an email to somebody asking for the water cooler. I don't know what people do in offices. I see people all the time. I'm coming back from the gym, and I'm driving up my garage. Top floor, baby. I'm driving up my garage, and I just don't want to hear people on top of me, and I hate hearing people to the side of me, but I did not get a quarter unit, unfortunately. And when I see people coming out to their cars, and it's like 7 o'clock. I've been up since 4, no big deal. Since 3:55, excuse me, that's what my alarm is. But I see people coming out to their cars, dressed in the most constricting clothing, and just looking dour. And they might be able to enjoy their jobs, which is fine. I know, even I live next to a teacher, and I asked her how she likes it. And she's like, I've been doing this for 5 years. and she's like, oh, I'm kind of done. And I'm like, hey, girl, I understand. I'm more like, hey, girl, I understand. Hey, girl. What is that? What is that from? The Spider-Man movie, the cartoon one? Hey. And they already, like, if you go into work dreading work, then you're burned out. You're tired, and you shouldn't. Something has to change. Not something should change. Something has to change. Something should change. Something has to change. And what do you do? Like, what? Notice what you do, and notice how that affects your work. And if you can get out of there, get out of there. If you can go on sabbatical, I know somebody who went on sabbatical. I know plenty of people who've been on sabbatical. I'm jealous. Oh God, I wish I could go on sabbatical. You kidding me? Oh, I'm so jealous. I know one person that I do a workout class with. They're on sabbatical for a couple of months, traveling. Every other week they were out doing something. Brazil, Puerto Rico. I'm so tired. I just want to take a nap. But it's also important to just balance, and it's not like a work-life situation. It's just important to balance something besides work all the time and something that makes you unhappy. And I know that not every job in every sector is going to allow for that. I mean, look at when I was at CNN, it was just the angriest people. People would come in, excuse my language, this is a clean show, but they would come in and go, today's going to be a shitty show. And I'm just thinking, how do you know that? Just because a big story is happening and we don't have information doesn't mean it's going to be bad. And just because an anchor is mad about one thing doesn't mean the entire show is going to be horrible, because they're going to do their job to the best of their ability. It's just like you should do your job to the best of your ability. When I'm in the gym, I don't just go, this is going to be a horrible workout, and then I give it half. No, I give everything I can. And what's even worse is these producers are making livable wages. Meanwhile, everybody else. Maybe I'm a little bitter. I'm bitter at my old supervisor. Anyway, just try. And then if you can't, just do it. I don't know if that means anything. Hey, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to your favorite famous people. I just spoke to the cast of Resident Alien. I just spoke to, oh God, something came out. Okay, I guess I can talk about this. I talked to comedian Chris Martin. He's a very funny guy. He does stand up, and he used to write for the Late Late Show with James Corden. He appeared on that show as a comic. Check it out. It's a great interview. You can watch video versions of those interviews on youtube.com/C+comedy. You can listen to those interviews, most interviews, under the Constitutionals podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Constitutionals is a entertainment business news show, and then there's what else? Late Night Lately, which is the Late Show podcast, the late night show podcast, and that's a great one. Video versions youtube.com/C+comedy. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at C+comedy. Me at Chad Black White. Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends. Goodbye.